There is this place, a place where people go to dream, a place where you can be at the top of the mountain, looking down at your past self. But dreams always have their beginnings. This one started because of the drive for something more, the love for their families, for their lives to be greater than their own. This was no small task. It required hard work, dedication, and determination. That no matter what was thrown their way, their love for their families carried them over the hill. These values became their legacy, passed down to the generations, and they still live within us today.
Growing up in this neighborhood was a very tight community, and it was, mostly Italians, and everybody knew each other. All kids, I'd say, on any given night, there were, 20 to 30 kids outside in the back of the house. And again, right here in the back of Grandpa's house, that's where a lot of us gathered, or right up the block. And there were always kids. We were always outside doing things. We were very rarely in the house.
The young kids in the neighborhood all knew him. Those that I still keep in touch with from the neighborhood always still ask for him. All my friends liked him. The other kids, everything from nerd to hoodlum. The young guys in the neighborhood. And he would help them, and they just liked him, and especially my friends.
What do you got? Are you watching TV?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yes. I like to stand. I'm watching a good movie. Sometimes I really get into good movies. And this is about the Vietnam War. And that was my era, the Vietnam War. No, I was never there, but my heart broke for all these guys. Enough politics, no politics. That's it.
This is the general in the gym. I want to get him in shape quickly as possible.
Yeah, we're rolling.
My feed is senior fitness for seniors. Anybody over 65, I'm going to make them looking young again. The word is rejuvenation.
Are you listening to this?
Young and sexy.
And sexy. And
Yes,
here's
sir.
the man that's trying to make me sexy.
Again.
He's got a long way to go.
Again.
And a great trainer.
I love him. My boy. Easy.
He has compassion for people, he just reads them. And what I mean by that is he'll come across somebody, he does this, let's say getting on a flight, this TSA agent there, and she's not smiling, and he'll walk over and say, "Hey, what about a smile today?" And initially they get taken back, they don't know what to do, but he gets them to smile. He gets people smiling wherever he goes. Another thing that he does that's very impressive, that's just a personality, he makes friends with everyone. He makes friends no matter who it is, the hat check girl, whoever it might be. He's known to hang out with lawyers, doctors. He loves his motorcycle and that crew. So it's the classiness of it that is a good quality that he brings.
I'm just showing him about years ago I used to hang out with Russell, and now you got the place.
It's a lot different then, no?
Oh, without a doubt. This used to be a hangout.
Yeah.
There he is. We're looking down at the boxes. Look. Yeah. How you doing? He sells the best meats and cold cuts in this neighborhood. This is 16th Avenue. We have a group of guys used to hang out, and they were called Bay 11th. And where we hung out, my friends, was called Bay 14. But this was where we congregated. And this was our friend's butcher shop. We were all friends, but we were always in competition with each other. As far as swimming, we used to go down to Bay 8 and swim off the rocks out by the Bell Parkway. That was our swimming hole. And we all used to go down there. We used to go to parties. We were all invited together. But then the competition came. And like I said before, we had the Big 8 fight here. It was like Dodge City in the movies. The people were closing their windows and the doors were closing, and we stood right here in the middle of the street facing each other. They on one corner, we were on another corner, and we're all standing there loaded up with eggs. And all of a sudden somebody threw the first egg, and that started it. Well, you can know what kind of mess it was that day. That's it. This is called 16th Avenue and 86th Street. And on this corner, in this building, was called Fuffy's Pancake House back in the 60s. I used to live on 85th Street. We rented an apartment. I had my wife and 2 babies. And I was broke. I lost my job, and I needed to get a job to make some money. I come here, I asked my friend Fuffy, the owner, if I can have a job. And he put me in the kitchen. Well, from a construction worker into a kitchen, you understand how that went. I was working, they gave me a grill about 3 feet wide, and they didn't put me in charge of the hamburgers. And I made about 10 hamburgers. I was told to pre-cook the hamburgers, and I made 10 of them when I piled them up. For whatever reason, they slipped and they fell on the floor. So I got a little crazy, and I said, oh, geez, I gotta start all over. And the head cook said, don't worry about it. He said, pick them up, put them back on the grill. The heat kills everything.
It's consistency of the work ethic, right? The consistency of the gym. It's not just something that you do. It's a lifestyle. The consistency of the hard work. We worked hard. He worked hard. I mean, my brother and I were working since as long as I can remember, pushing hot dog carts, pushing the Italian ice carts. We were working in his car a lot. He'd have us on roofs. So it was that work ethic that was just consistent, that, if you want to do something, do it all the way. Don't half-ass it, right? You want to do it the right way the first time. And that was a big part of the environment that we grew up in.
He was always into physical fitness. So, as a matter of fact, I remember exactly the day and who I was with and what he said that caused me to tell him to enroll me in the gym, because I don't think I was driving yet. I joined Bath Beach Bodybuilding, which was all the way down Avenue U in Brooklyn. His friend, who was a professional bodybuilder, owned it. And I'm in the car with him, Anthony, my friend Anthony, who worked for him. And we were on the road. I think I was 17 or something. Anyway, he was telling me about weightlifting, and he's got this talk, and he's talking about why it's good for you, and it makes you better looking because your face, and you just everything about it. It makes you strong, your hands, and he was telling us about that. And I said, I want that. And then I enrolled, and he wasn't into it like I'm into it, but he started it pretty much.
And this is our racquetball courts. They got 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Can't disturb them. They're playing racquetball, which is a great game.
He was a dad, not just a father. Anybody could be a father. It's a pretty simple thing to do. But to be a dad, it's not so simple. And everybody has great dads. And he taught us how to be one, how to be there. He was around. He cared. He was concerned about us all the time. The most important thing, I think, in his life, especially, I would say, was his kids. The way he talks about me, he talks about my brother to me, my sister, this was the most important thing in his life. And, later, he was very blessed to have gotten married to Diane because, they're tight. They're tight. It's a beautiful thing. I look at relationships and I say, wow, I would like to have a relationship kind of like what they have. They take care of each other, and watching that as an example has been a good thing. It's been a good lesson in life. But, he taught me how to be a dad. and how to instill the qualities that I got, pass them on to me, and I pass them on to my children. And hopefully it's a legacy that goes on for many generations. Tony Gullo becomes the legend.
They were raised by the World War II generation. They grew up rough, like pull your weight, you got to do things for the family, and that's the way they are. And that's the way they raised us, and that's why they make fun of Generation X, because we're still relatively younger. We're not old timers yet, but we were raised by them, and you were on your own, man. Not a problem. Go out, go play.
Had a lot of fun in this school. And if we crossed by the tracks, we got that famous pizza place called Spumoni Gardens. And we used to play hooky and go eat pizza. Because all these buildings were lots. They weren't built yet. I'll tell you a story about this school. In the 50s, they had a person on the radio called Alan Freed. And Alan Freed on Saturdays was in charge of The Twist. And all the old records on the radio are very famous. All the doo-wop songs were on his station. He had a show downtown Brooklyn at the Paramount or the Fox Theater. And it was an Easter vacation. And we all used to go down and watch the shows, because a friend of ours used to sing in groups, and we used to get the tickets for nothing. That year, the show ran in Easter holiday, but it started before school was let out. Just so happens I got caught playing hooky, and they called my parents, and my father had to come to school. And my father, the old Italian guy, man that he was, he came in trying to make excuses so I can come back to school. Because when you were bad in the school, they put you in a class called 3G1. We called it the boob class. You sat in that class until your parents came up. Now, the rock and roll show was starting. And my father promised the dean that I will come back to school and I won't cut no more. He gave his word. All my friends were going to the rock and roll show the next day. How could I not go? My father dropped me off at school at that end of the building. I ran inside, put my books down, and ran out the front side of the building. So I ran to the train station to meet my friends. And off we went to see the rock and roll show. Because we got special tickets because our friends were singing, the groups, they were called the Mystics. We got special tickets that we could stay at the rock and roll show all day. Now this is how it went. You watched the movie and then the show went on. You watched the movie and then the show went on. All day and all night. And when the movie went on, they tried to dismiss everybody and the new group would come in. And it got very crowded at the theater. We watched 2 shows and it was lunchtime. And my friend said, let's cross the street and we go to Junior's, which is a restaurant that was well known downtown. And we were to get something to eat. As we were crossing the street, what were the odds of my father waiting for a red light, and we were bebopping across the street, and there he was staring at each other? Can you imagine what went through his mind and what went through my mind? And there we were looking at each other. All my friends went, uh-oh, and they all ran away, and I was left in the middle of the street while my father was waiting for the red light. I had to get in his car, and he took me home. Well, you know, every red light, I had to lift my hand up like this because I got the back of his hand. And what really bothered him was I gave my word that you would go to school. But he was a stand-up man. He took me to school the next day, and he said, my son, he was sick, and he couldn't come yesterday. So they said, okay. He called it for the school. True story. I was having a conversation with my grandson, and he asked me about his great-grandfather. And I told him his great-grandfather was in the Navy in World War II. I said, and I told him I have a book with his travels. So we went upstairs. I had to take the dust off, and I'm going to show him my father's travels. And as we turn the pages, there's a map explaining, as you can see, his travels from China to the United States and all the islands. He was in the Solomon Islands, he was in New Caledonia, in the Coral Sea, and his job was building airstrips so the planes could come when the Marines were finished with the islands, fighting with the islands, and they moved up further. The Seabees, which that's what they were called, they would build an airstrip so the planes could land. In the meantime, on the other side of the island, the Marines were still fighting. And here we have the book that that shows their travels of the Seabees. And this is how they got recruited, and they're on their way. And here it is, August 1943.
Who gave this book to you?
Oh, my father, when he came home from the Navy. He had the book, and of course, when I got a little older, he gave it to me. But he passed away. He had a massive heart attack in 1962. And I got a book to remember him by. Everyone in the Navy had a duty. And of course they switched duty. He used to work in the kitchen a lot. He was working in the in the mess hall. I'm going to tell you a story. They were on an island. I don't remember the name of the island. The Marines came and they pushed the Japanese to almost to the other side. That's when the Seabees, the Navy, came and they started construction. My father, what the Navy does is put your name on all your clothes. And in the back, my father's name was Dominick Daniel Gullo. And it said D.D. Gullo. And that was his nickname, D.D. When the Marines moved up towards the island, the Navy came, the Seabees, and started working on the airstrips. My father was doing KP duty, which is kitchen police. And these two Marines come by. They was coming to pick up some supplies at the edge of the island. And as they passed, they came in and they asked my father, could they have something to eat? And of course, my father told them to sit down. He cooked them a beautiful dinner and told them if they ever come this way again, he'll cook for them again. And he made them a big doggy bag so he could take it up to the guys up in the front. Years pass. In 1956, on Ocean Parkway in Brooklyn, I was in the car with my father when a police car came and put on a siren and his bell and pulled my father over. Of course, my father was pretty annoyed. He didn't know what he did for this officer to pull him over. The officer, on his microphone, said, "Driver of the vehicle, please step out." So my father get out, the cop get out, and it was the Marine that he fed the dinner to. They were in the middle of the street, hugging and kissing. They were so happy. I guess they were happy just being alive. The cop said, "Follow me." He took us to New Utrecht Avenue in Brooklyn. And it took us to this little diner, which the other Marine owned. And the two of them, the three of them really, were so happy to see each other. And the owner of the diner came over to me and said, "Listen, whenever you're hungry, you come here to eat." That's the story. Can you get that?
Mhm.
Wait, let me wipe it down. We can take a picture of these. You got that?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just wipe this. I got it. Are you filming me? Get that. All right. I'm going to show you a picture of my father. That's the only memories I have of him. He died at very young. He was 42 years old. That's young. That's good, huh? Huh? He's filming.
Alright, I'll wait for a second.
Greg, you want a piece of cake?
I'm good. Thank you, though.
Ice cream?
I'm good. Thank you.
This ain't bad, this ain't bad, because it's,
That's my pop.
this wasn't bad because I do it all the time, but just don't let it fall out.
Yeah.
Just watch, that it
I
doesn't
got
open.
it. I see what you did. And this is a picture of Gregory's great-grandfather and great-grandmother. Her name was Frances. You got it?
Yeah, hold it up.
This is my garage in the back of my house, where I keep my passion. Which happens to be motorcycles.
What started your passion for riding motorcycles?
My dad used to ride. And used to take me to Coney Island. We lived in Staten Island. And on Friday nights, we met his boys and took us to Coney Island. And we used to hang out. And I used to ride in the back of the motorcycle. So I always had that love for motorcycles. Of course, when I got old enough to ride and got my license, I bought a motorcycle. I paid $110 for my first motorcycle. And this is my smaller bike. This is my Heritage Deluxe. I keep a cover on it. And here she is. I got the charger on it so the battery don't get dead. Give me those keys right up there. And this is my baby. And this is music to my ears.
So I have a question, Grandpa.
Sure.
What was the favorite place that you've ridden on a motorcycle to?
My favorite place?
Yeah. Or the most interesting?
It's going to sound a little corny, but the United States is my favorite place. The most interesting was South Dakota, Washington, D.C.
So what was the most interesting thing you saw at Washington, D.C.?
Well, I saw all the memorials, and we had on Memorial Day, we had the parade, and they don't have it anymore for our veterans. And if you look at the Vietnam Wall, it's very sad. Over 58,000 men lost their lives.
So, obviously, you were a very young and handsome man when Vietnam occurred. How did it affect you personally, and what was the energy around the country when it occurred?
I'd rather not get into politics.
Okay.
Cut that out.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, take these, take this. Okay?
So these are all your trips?
Well, there's some of them. Okay? This one here is the Seabees. My father was in the Navy, and he was in the Seabees. Okay? And if you can read this one, it says the Second Amendment, defending liberty. This was in Brooklyn. That's my wife, Diane. She used to ride with me all the time. And here we are in Washington, D.C. And here we are with a bunch of the boys. And my wife is right in the middle. Of course, she's the prettiest one. That's the Blue Ridge Mountain. That's South Dakota. That's Washington, D.C. And that's the wall with the 58,000 men engraved in the wall. And here we are at a rally. 1998, Rolling Thunder. And you can see some of these takes here. And these are my favorites. Memorial Weekend, Rolling Thunder, the year 2000. We ride for this. And this is one of the clubs that I belong to. There's another club that I belong to. Come here. And here's the big sticker for that same club that I belong to. And of course, this is all my motorcycle paraphernalia, my helmets, my rain gear. And this is one of the vests that I wore in the club that I belong to. You notice it's called the Brooklyn chapter of the Harley Group. And here's all my medals. I feel like a general.
Well, I think you're a general. You're a general in my eyes.
Nah. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is, believe it or not, this is Diane's one. See, it says secretary.
Oh, so she's the general then.
Oh, she's the general, yes. But I belong to the club because I was the president. I don't know where mine is. All right, it's in here someplace. I ain't pulling it up now. Of course, we had a bag. We used to put all our stuff in a bag when we went on a trip. And we had rain gear. You notice the green rain gear down there. That's it. I come here to buy some goodies for my bike and some supplies and look at all the beautiful motorcycles they have on display. Now you're looking at works of art. Just span that camera and just look at all these beautiful bikes here. They're all different. Each one has got its own character in it. This got more stuff in it than a car has, than your new car has. These are the smaller bikes. They call this the Road King. And this is the one I have at home, this type bike. But then they have this type of bike, which is anniversary bike. And if you can see, you can look at this screen. It looks like a TV, a 17-inch. Look at the size of that screen. It's awesome. And this is the type of bike I have. It's called a Softail. This is a great bike.
I mean, when you come to a store like this, do you feel like a kid in a candy store?
Absolutely. It makes me desire for a new bike, but of course they're very expensive. Some of these bikes cost more than a car. Give you an example. A bike like this, $46,000. Yes, a lot of money for a bike like this, but it's a lot of bike. It's got a lot of equipment. It's got a computer, just like a car has.
Yeah, we've all been there. Whenever we go into stores that we like, it's like you just want to buy.
Yes, but then when you get on the road, my old bikes do just fine.
I would like to say to my father that I sit here today understanding that I'm truly blessed to the astronomical odds that I even exist. But for the life that I was given, for the opportunities that we had, for the protection and safety that I felt through any chaos that went on in our life, I always felt safe because of Grandpa. So I want to thank him for that. And, you know, the House of Gullo, let it shine, let it be the greatest ever. And I'll be at the award show when you win the Academy.